Are you going?
Yeah, you're good. Take your time now.
First time. Today I want to talk about something that I think obviously the majority of competitors are going to have to deal with. Because there can only ever be one winner. And so what I wanted to talk about today is something that I have a lot of experience with, and that is dealing with the disappointment. And so what I wanted to talk about today was something that I have a lot of experience with, and that is dealing with the disappointment of losing. And this is in terms of bodybuilding. And so it maybe not necessarily even losing, but not doing as well as you'd hoped. And so hopefully this will help some other people to deal with that and sort of get through the process a little bit easier. First and foremost, for those of us that have been doing this, we understand this. It is a subjective sport. Now, there are some guidelines, and there's some things that are always going to sort of take over. So, conditioning and size, but symmetry, what exactly the type of look the judges are looking for. You know, does one judge favor more towards, scoring somebody better if they have a better back? Does another judge look more at chest? Does another judge, say you're doing actual bodybuilding, does another judge going to judge more based on your legs? And so there is some subjectivity there, and so there's some room for interpretation, and that's one of the things that you need to know going in, or that you should know going in. But keep that in mind when looking at placings. One of the other things I think that is really helpful is to look at the pictures afterwards. I know that there are a lot of times where I thought that I had looked better or done better on stage than I did, and I looked at the pictures and my posing is all over the place, or I'm breathing out and I'm not bringing my abs in well enough, or one thing or another. For whatever reason, I didn't give the look that I can manage when I'm in the mirror. And so that comes down to presentation, posing practice, and just really being comfortable on stage. And so that can be a lot of it too. So always wait until you see, and then you can try your best to make, an objective decision based on, for what you think your placing should have been. Another really important thing is that your individual progress does not guarantee you a win. If you look at my before pictures from my first show to my pictures now, there's a night and day difference. I mean, not just size-wise, conditioning. I almost look like a completely different person. And so, if it was just based on individual progress, then maybe I've made more progress than some of those other guys on stage. Maybe I've worked harder even. Maybe I've dedicated more and done more than those other people that have beaten, that, were placed ahead of me. And there's a good chance that might be true, because it takes a lot of hard work for me to get down to that stage conditioning. That being said, bodybuilding and being a physique athlete isn't necessary. When you're on stage, it's not about where you've come from, it's about where you're at right now. So some people who might have it easier, or who are naturally bigger or naturally leaner, or whatever the case may be, maybe they didn't have to work as hard as you, or maybe whatever the case may be, they just had an easier, shorter path to where they were than you, and they just looked better. But it doesn't matter, because all that matters is what the judges see on stage. So don't think that it's taking away from your success or from your progress. It's just, unfortunately, in that moment, it's not something the judges, one, could even know, but two, would take into consideration. The third thing I think that a lot of people tend to overlook when they are stuck in that disappointment is that, I'm going to do another show, let's find one the next weekend or a couple weeks, we can get better, and we can make some improvements, and take home some trophies. That might not be in your best interest. Sometimes, especially if you've been dieting for a long time or you've been doing shows every so often within a short span of time for however long, sometimes it can be a really big indicator that it's just time to take some time off from doing shows and from competing. That it's time to build some good quality muscle, to add to the base that you have right now, and to come back actually looking different. If there's one thing that I've noticed from competing very often for the past few years, is that even though I have made a lot of good progress, towards the end of the past 6 months or so, my physique hasn't had much change in it, even from the past year or so. And so, if I look at how I looked then and how I look now, did I look better? Yes. My conditioning was a little bit better. My size and my proportions were a little bit better. But if I were to take 2 years off, there would be a drastic improvement, or what I would hope to be a drastic improvement. I still really haven't been lifting too long, so there's still a lot of progress to be made for me. I think instead of continuing to try and push the envelope, take a deep breath, sit down, look at what you've been doing, if it has or has not been working for you, and then try to make an objective decision on what is really in your best interest for the long term. Now, you have to remember that your placement does not take away from your success. You did the months of dieting. You did the hard work. You have put in the time in the gym. And you've come a long way from wherever you were, I'm sure. So, it's really easy to feel like you have somehow failed, or you didn't do what you were supposed to do. But all you really can do is your best. All you can do is put in the work, put in the effort, and show up with the best you. So whether or not the best you took home first place shouldn't matter. Like I said, it's a subjective sport, and when it comes down to it, it's people's opinions of your physique. So your opinion needs to be your number one, first and foremost. Understand that their opinions might not be wrong necessarily, but your opinion of yourself should always be positive. If you find that doing shows and placing poorly is giving you a lot of issues and it's making it very difficult to deal with, continuing to have a positive self-image and self-worth, then that might be another sign that it's time to take a break. And then I think the last things are use it as motivation, and just get better. I've learned a lot from losing. I haven't won much, but when I have won, it really hasn't taught me much. It's the times when I've lost and I've done poorly. Those are the times where I've learned the most. Those are the times that have forced me to become better. Those are the things that have really, really pushed me to do more and to get better. I look at those trophies from where I got pissed off, or I thought I was going to do better, or maybe I even thought that I was in front of somebody else, and I use that as motivation in the gym. It pushes me because it gives me that drive. It's a little bit of a chip on my shoulder. Granted, talking about the self-worth, it doesn't take away from how I feel about myself or from how you should feel about yourself. But if you can use it to give you a little bit more intensity, a little bit more drive, a little bit more dedication when it comes to pursuing your fitness goals, whether it's taking a long off season and building, or coming back and trying to and getting leaner, whatever the case may be, then that's a good thing. You've learned, you've become better. And I think that that's something a lot of people overlook, especially in the fitness community. There are people who are just blessed. And legitimately, they have great genetics, and it's not difficult for them to go in and to win. I do men's physique, and really men's physique has become extremely competitive, and there have been a lot of phenomenal physiques that I've seen just this year in the shows that I've gone to and that I've done. So, you have to be better than those guys that have it easy. And that's not going to be, like, coming from somebody who's not genetically gifted, it's a lot of hard work, dedication, and commitment. Um, so, if you can look at those trophies and they can push you, or they can remind you, or they can somehow give you that motivation, then that's a good thing. I'm thankful for every show that I've done because I've gotten something very important out of it. Whether it was motivation, whether it was a lesson, or even if I just felt good doing it, or I enjoyed the experience. Every show has taught me something that I continue to take with me every single time I go into the gym. So, that being said, I know competition season is in full bore. There are a lot of shows going on. Do not allow a poor placement or the frustration of not doing as well as you wanted to do to bring you down and to take you out of the game. Don't let it cause you to lose hope or to lose all of your diligence in what you've been doing. Keep up the hard work. Keep getting better. Come back and just keep on grinding.